Hello and welcome to Minnesota Matters. I'm Gail Nosek. Communities across Minnesota are celebrating Veterans Day this weekend. Today we're going to be talking with veterans from 3 different generations, 3 different wars, Korea, Vietnam, and Iraq. We'll talk about their experience in conflict and back home, and we'll talk about a special Veterans Day event that all 3 are participating in this weekend. That is all coming up on Minnesota Matters, a production of the Minnesota News Network. And welcome back to Minnesota Matters. Today we are celebrating Veterans Day by talking with 3 generations of soldiers. I'm joined now by Jim Moran, who served with the Army in Korea, Tim Sather, who served with the Marines in Vietnam, and Nick Eichman, who served with the Army in Iraq. Jim, we're going to start with you. You served in Korea. When did you go over there, and how old were you?
18.
You were a young guy then.
I guess so, yeah. Scared.
And scared? Did you sign up for the Army?
Yeah, I was.
Knowing that you'd go over there?
No, I signed up in 1949. And we went through training on guns at Fort Bliss, and then we went to Seattle and Fort Lewis, and then we got called to go overseas. We ended up over there about the 1st September.
Okay.
50, and it was all downhill from then.
Was it? Did you? How can you prepare yourself for something like that? I mean, I would think it would be a whole different world over there.
Oh, it is. It's real different. You don't know 1 minute from the next whether you're here or there.
Where were you based? What city were you near?
Well, we started out Busan. They just had a little dot ground there. Went all the way to the Yellow River, and we got the heck beat out of us there.
Was that your first big experience in combat?
Yes. And I don't want to go through it again.
Oh, I bet not. I bet not. How did you react? How you thought you would react under fire, so to speak?
Yeah, I suppose nobody gave me heck.
And you're still here to talk about it?
Yeah, I followed orders, and it's awful scary. Good thing I was young.
Yeah. What were your duties there?
We were on 3-inch anti-aircraft guns, but they didn't have field artillery trained, so we had to go over there and run this field artillery. We could fire either with the radar, or we could fire manually with azimuth and horizontal. And we were attached to the ROK division and the 1st Cav, whichever needed big guns to fire for them. We were elected, and then when we got all the way to Yule River, 17 air miles from it, all heck broke loose. Them Chinese come down out of the hills like flies. And with them big guns, we had a heck of a time. We lost a lot of equipment. We had to push it over the mountains, fill it with grenades and gas, and let her go if it broke down. We made it back.
How long did that last? Was that a couple of days, or?
Oh, it seemed like months.
I'm sure it did.
But it went fast. When you get, they were all doped up. We had 50 caliber quad machine guns. There was 4 of them to each battery, and they'd come in running down the hills and right into them 50 calibers, and then our 3-inch guns, they run right into them. We were setting the fuse at just as minute they got to the end of the barrel, they'd go off.
Do you have time to think in a situation like
No,
that?
you don't. No, there's no thinking. You just trained and you just do it automatically. Whatever you're trained for, it comes to you naturally. After you're shot at once, you don't like it, but you got to stay.
Survival instinct probably kicks in.
Yes, a lot of things.
In talking with veterans, I know that there's a great camaraderie that is established when a group of people is together, and especially you are looking out for each other, and basically all you have is each other to depend on. Do you have a lot of friendships that you made there that have lasted over the years? And
Oh, yes. We still have, for the last 20 years, we've had our reunion. There ain't many of us left, the original bunch, but we still go to the different places for our reunions every year. And I've been lucky. I've made all 20 of them so far.
see all those old friends.
Yeah, they change. I never do.
Well, you're the lucky one then.
Oh, I guess so.
How long were you there?
About 15 months. We went over there. We got over there about the 1st September, and then we stayed till the following December of 51. And then we throw us on ships and back we come.
And what was that like? What was the adjustment like coming back home from that? Was that a difficult transition?
Well, yes, in a way. Of course, we come back with a group on ship. It took us probably a week or 4 or 5 days, and you're crowded into the ship, and you just I think that kind of gets guy back to where adjusts a little quicker. It's not like get on an airplane and you're just looking to get home. Here you're on the boat for quite some time, and it's different nowadays.
You had a little more time to think about the prospect of going home and
Yes.
what you would do once you got home.
Yeah. Yep.
And I'm going to bring Tim Sather into the conversation now, who was with the Marines in Vietnam.
That is correct.
When did you arrive in Vietnam? Did you sign up to go to Vietnam, or were you in the Marines beforehand and were sent over there?
In the Marine Corps is all volunteer. And during that time when I signed up in February '67, I went to boot camp in June of '67. Went through boot camp, all the training, your schooling, all that kind of stuff. And I landed in the Republic of Vietnam, Da Nang, on Christmas Day of 1967.
How old a guy were you?
18.
See, a lot of young guys arriving over there.
Yes, there was.
What were your first impressions when you got there?
God, is it hot here.
What were the temperatures like?
We landed, it was 103 degrees.
Oh, wow. And are you a guy from Minnesota originally, so you're used to
Oh, yes. When I came back from Vietnam, it was February of '69. It was 17 below here. So there was quite a difference in climate change.
Yeah. And plus carrying all that gear around with you.
Oh, yeah, you lose a lot of weight.
I saw some pictures of you on a website where you were a pretty skinny guy back then, and you also lost some weight when you arrived.
I was 148 pounds when I went over there, and within probably 3 weeks, I was down about 8 to 10 pounds.
Just sweating off.
Well, it was fright and stress.
Yeah, another young kid going into the middle of a conflict. How did you deal with that?
Like Jim says, you're trained. No matter what branch of service you're in, you're trained, and your training kicks in. You got your comrades there; they're looking out for each other. If they notice anything's going wrong with you, they kick it in and they make sure that you come out okay.
Where were you stationed? What were your duties?
After all my training, all that kind of stuff, I was trained in dual training. I was in the 105 Howitzers. I was with Gulf Battery 3rd Battalion, 11th Marines, 1st Marine Division over in Vietnam. I was also trained in radio communications, and which is very rare for double training, but I did it because I was in radio and stuff before I went in service.
Okay. And you have 2 Purple Hearts.
That is correct.
That you've earned. Tell me about those injuries.
Well, the first Purple Heart that I received was I was in the artillery battery. It was right at the beginning of the Tet Offensive in February '68. The hill I was on, we were north, probably 17 miles north of Da Nang, and a fire base. And we were on a fire mission, and then they decided to fire back. And we had a bunch of mortar rounds land, and just so happens one of the rounds landed probably 20 feet behind us, and there's probably 5 guys in the crew, and 4 of the 5 got hit. They were minor hits. I got hit in the left arm and in the back, and which put me in the medic hooch for probably 3 days, just pulling out metal out of my back and my arms.
And then you got sent back, obviously. The one wound, and that didn't hold you back.
No, that I stayed right in the same compound that I was at, Hill 10 that I was on. I stayed right there, and the corpsman and the doctors took care of me there. And then the Tet started up and really started to go real heavy the following months. And then in May, there was an infantry unit, Charlie Company, 1st Battalion, 7th Marines, that was on our hill. And as well, a lot of servicemen know, a radio antenna is a perfect target for a sniper or the Viet Cong or NVA. And Charlie Company was losing a lot of their radio personnel and their forward observers. And me being cross-trained, the company commander, Charlie Company, came over to our commander and asked us if we had anybody cross-trained, and of course it was me. So I ended up packing up with them for 3 weeks, and then we went on a big operation in May of '68. And they peppered the area pretty good with B-52s and Phantoms and a whole ball of wax. And we loaded up in the 46s and went out there. Thought we were going to land in a cold LZ, but as soon as we landed at the 4 choppers we were in, it was instantly hot. As the ramp went down and the first 4 guys off, they dropped right there at the ramp. The corpsman, the squad leader, and honor weapons man, and me made it off the ramp. We're running toward the tree line, and we got hit again. The automatic weapons man went down, and then all 3 of the squad leader, the corpsman, and me ended up still running in a little bit to try and get out of the automatic weapons fire, and a mortar round landed about 10 feet from me. And a piece of metal went in and caught my right leg and tore it all apart. And the corpsman came over and put a tourniquet on me and shot me full of morphine, and he just gave me enough to kill a little bit of the pain, but because he wanted to stay coherent, so you could at least protect yourself.
And were you able to get evacuated out of that area and get to proper medical care?
No, because I call it a horseshoe ambush. They were on 3 sides of us, and the only way back would have been out in the swamp, and there's already 2 choppers full of Marines back there. They were trapped out in the rice paddies also at the same time. They were getting hit just as bad as we were. And so we couldn't go back, and so we ended up staying in there. And the automatic weapons were probably 200 feet, 300 feet away from us. I'd say maybe less than 100 yards.
So the enemy is less than 100 yards from you.
They were danger close, yes.
How long were you there?
We were trapped there for 3 days.
And you had taken a direct hit to your
my right leg. Yes, like I said, the corpsman put the tourniquet on, and he put the coagulating powder on there to stop the bleeding, and bandaged it up best he could. He was wounded also. All 3 of us were wounded too, but my leg was the serious of them all.
Over those 3 days, what could you do? Do you just hunker down and?
My radio was knocked out. We didn't have any communications, but we could yell back and forth to the Marines that were out in the rice paddies, and so we had some communications. But we couldn't even get up and move because the fire was so bad. And they tried to come in and get us, but they got popped down right away. And then they tried to send in some gunships, and nightfall came, and Puff the Dragon came over top and threw illumination flares for us all night long, so we had visibility. It's just that we could hear them talking, and they could hear us talking, and they had popped a few rounds in here, and we'd try and protect ourselves. But it was 3 days, and they finally brought a reactionary force out from one of the surrounding areas, and the Viet Cong and NVA dispersed.
Well, obviously you made it out, and you look to be in good health. You're here talking to us about it. After the break, we're going to bring in our Iraq War veteran to the conversation as well. We've got 3 generations of veterans here talking as we look forward to celebrating Veterans Day this weekend. This is Minnesota Matters. Welcome back to Minnesota Matters. I'm Gail Nosek. We're talking about Veterans Day, which is coming up this weekend, and we are honored to have 3 veterans of 3 different wars here, Korea, Vietnam, and Iraq. We're going to bring our Iraq War veteran into the conversation now. This is Nick Eichman. It's kind of hard for me to say Iraq War veteran because you're very young looking.
Yep.
What time, when you just got back from Iraq as well? When did you get back this summer?
I got back middle of July 20th.
How old of a guy are you?
I am 22 right
22 years old. And I mean no disrespect by saying you're young either. How long were you in Iraq? Where were you based?
We were in Iraq for 16 months, and I was based in Talil Air Base. It's southern Iraq near Al Nasiriyah.
Okay. And what were your duties over there?
I did convoy escorts. Basically, we escorted trucks of fuel and different supplies up and down the country.
Okay. What are some of your most vivid memories of being over there?
Memories usually be bad things, but there's a few incidents where we got hit with IEDs or we had a bunch of small arms fire, and for memories we all made it through, so it's better than not.
We did. And just listening to, we just listened to, your 2 veterans from 2 different wars. What are your thoughts as far as the differences between these these 3 different wars?
Well, I believe they had a lot harder than I did. Right now, the troops over there have so much security. All the armor that we have is just unreal compared to what went on in Vietnam and Korea. Just the vehicles we're riding in are so beefed up with just the steel and all the armor.
Did you see any heavy fighting over there? Did you experience a lot of IEDs, a lot of fire at all?
Most of our incidents were either just an IED goes off and you deal with it when it happens, and then small arms fire, but they usually didn't stick around too much.
Yeah.
We got a lot of firepower with us. We were able to pin them down pretty easily.
And there's been, obviously a lot of coverage of the Iraq War in the media. You were there. You saw firsthand. What are the differences that you see? Now that you're back and you're seeing reports on Iraq, what are the differences that you see between the reporting and your actual experiences?
Well, media usually wants to make news. Seems like they over-dramatize pretty much everything that goes on over there. Don't really show much of the good things, mainly the bad.
I hear that a lot. I was over in Fort McCoy when the National Guard troops came back, and they, a lot of them that I talked to said there are good things that are going on, and we're doing some good things over there. What kind of things do you think? Obviously we hear about the explosions and the casualties and the IEDs and that kind of thing. What kind of things did you experience that would be good news that don't seem to make the press here?
Well, me personally, I wasn't a part of many of the good things that went on, because all we did was work the nights, drive up and down the street. But there's a lot of schools, different water purification things, a lot of things just to get the communities at a area where they can run themselves and they can become a better civilization, I guess.
Right. And you came back, and what did you feel about your reception when you came back from Iraq?
Oh, it was great. Everyone was so happy to see us. It was just great to be back all together. The clean air, the green grass instead of the sand.
Exactly. And I want to talk to Tim, who served in Vietnam. Was it a very different reception, do you think, when you came back from Vietnam?
I came back from Vietnam in February of '16, like I had stated before, and it was individual people, that 3-4 servicemen here, 3-4 servicemen there. Now they bring back whole companies and groups together. But when we came back, there was just, scattered people around because you rotated out individually and you mustered at like one of the airports and you flew out. We landed in Frisco, and of course that era was the hippie era, and the tons and tons of protesters. We had coffee and human waste thrown at us and yelling at us that we were baby killers and women killers and all that kind of stuff. And we just kept on walking. We didn't yell back at them because that wasn't our style. Just get out of there and get out of the ruckus and get into a quiet area. And the airport had a nice serviceman center that we snuck into and got all of our uniforms washed and cleaned and all that kind of stuff. But once I got back to Minneapolis, my whole family was here and all that kind of stuff, and it made me feel a lot better.
What is your reaction to the welcome home from the Iraq War? Also a controversial war, and some people oppose it. There's a lot of talk about it in the media. What do you think about the welcome home? You see a huge shift as far as how people are receiving the military?
I think it's fantastic the way they receive the vets now, because they were putting themselves in harm's way, and anytime that the troops go over there and come back alive is great. I think my personal view is why they're getting this treatment now is because it's the parents of my era, the kids that are there now. The Vietnam and the Korean vets didn't want anything to happen to them. They wanted them to get a good reception back. They wanted them to feel wanted, and they are, and they still are.
Nick, I also want to, I know you've got a couple of interesting little family stories as well. You had a little ceremony when you were in Camp Shelby, being prepared to be deployed in Iraq. Fell in love with a fellow soldier. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yep, when I was in Camp Shelby for our train up, we had about 6 months to train up. I met my beautiful wife, Stephanie, and prior to us going to Iraq, we got married right on base at Camp Shelby. My dad and my stepmom came down. There's a whole little ceremony.
And then you were to spend your honeymoon in Iraq?
Well, actually, we had a 4-day pass after that, so we got to go over New Orleans. So that was pretty much our honeymoon.
Not ideal, but not too bad, right?
Yep, and then to Iraq.
And also your family, you have another brother who served at the very same time as you, right?
Yes, I had brothers in the same battalion, different companies. We were served same time, same place, and probably lived about 100 yards from me.
Oh, my goodness. So you got a brother and a new wife over there all with you in Iraq.
Yeah, we all made it back safe. So.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, we're going to take another quick break on Minnesota Matters here. When we come back, we're going to talk about a special ceremony that all three of these veterans are going to be participating in this weekend in Eden Prairie. That's next on Minnesota Matters. And welcome back to Minnesota Matters. We're wrapping up our segment on Veterans Day, and all three of the veterans that we've been talking to today are going to be participating in an event in Eden Prairie where they're in the process of building a memorial. Right now, Kevin Raffadal is joining us. He's a committee member of this memorial. Can you tell me quickly what exactly you guys are going to be doing on Sunday? There's not a memorial there yet, but you're in the process.
Yeah, we're raising money for a memorial. We're moving closer towards our $300,000 goal. We have enough money to put the flag poles in, so they're going in this week, and then we're going to hoist the flag for the first time. Bud Schwartz, a World War II veteran, is going to actually raise the American flag and to a big crowd there, and 3 other veterans are going to be honored. Ruel Long, a World War II veteran, Tim Sather, you already met, and Tyler Fay, who was killed in Iraq. His family will be there to receive that. At the same time, the flags fly over. T-6 Thunder planes are going to do a flyover for the crowd.
And this future memorial, it doesn't necessarily have to be soldiers from Eden Prairie whose names appear on this wall.
Correct. You don't have to be from Eden Prairie, and you don't have to be served in an actual war, just veterans. So like my grandfather's name, I paid the money to have his name put on there, and he's from northern Minnesota. So.
Great. Well, that'll be a wonderful event. When do you think you're going to be able to build the actual memorial?
We're hoping soon. It depends on when we reach that goal.
Got to raise the money.
Yeah.
All right. And people who are interested in finding out more can visit epveteransmemorial.org. epveteransmemorial.org is the website. And also, if you can't make it down to Eden Prairie, there are Veterans Day events going on all across the state, and the Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs has a list broken down by city of everything that's going on this weekend. That's on their website, mdva.state.mn.us, mdva.state.mn.us, and that's the Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs website. I want to thank you all for joining me today. I really had an interesting conversation, and I hope that you feel all the honors and accolades that people will be giving to you this Veterans Day. It's too bad it's just the once a year, but Jim Moran, Tim Sather, and Nick Eichman, and also Kevin Raffadal joining us from the Eden Prairie Memorial. And that is Minnesota Matters for this week. Thanks for joining us. I'm Gail Nosek.